So what happened was, maybe we should take a break, but I'm not ready yet. I'm on a roll. My courage and energy are up. Who knows how long they'll last. In the winter of, I think it was 1957, things were not going well at the little church in Washington, D.C. For one reason or another. There was not much money coming in, there was not much activity, and there was a lot of illness among the staff, and Ron and Mary Sue were sick. I mean, you know, colds and flus, things like that. But the general tone level of our little organization was down, and you could feel it. So one cruel, cold, dark, short day in the winter of 57-58, Ron called a staff meeting. Staff meetings were usually fun because the big redhead would get in front of us and sometimes blow our minds or tell us stories or whatever. It was usually a lot of fun. And he said, "Okay, you guys, things aren't so great at the moment." I'm paraphrasing everything, me. This isn't exactly what he said. And he said, "We need to get the show on the road again and get some life going around here." And he said, here's an idea. What has always been popular in Dianetics and Scientology? What is the one thing that we'll call the public really, really wants? So people were saying all kinds of things. To have a better love life, to not get sick, to do this, do that. I was like, no. The one thing that always got the show on the road and still can do it again is something called clear. Clear. The state of clear was in 1950, and we're going to make it again a very popular idea, and we're going to approach it differently than we did in 1950. We're going to make a different kind of clear entirely. Not different in that the reactive mind will not be influencing the person, but we're going to come at it a different way. It's going to be sort of like a mixture of Dianetics and Scientology, and maybe the best of both. And so when we have a Congress in the summer of 1958, it's going to be called the Clearing Congress. We'll in fact call it the Freedom Congress. And by then, this organization is going to be making clears. And they're going to be something called a help clear, which maybe has never been known on the face of this planet before. And I'll be telling you more about it as time goes along. But the main thing I want you to understand is this organization is returning or going ahead with the original idea, which is human beings want to be clear. They don't want to have a lot of unknown things modifying their behavior, screwing them up, messing their dynamics up, and causing them to do and feel things that they don't voluntarily wish to feel. In other words, they want to get back something called self-determinism. And we're going to be able to promise that they can get a great deal of it back again, and it's going to be very popular, mark my words, on this day. Well, I remember sitting in the audience and I started having that old feeling. You can say it was hypnotism if you want, but it wasn't. It was like, gosh darn it, there's the original idea coming out again. It's not just going to be how far south we can go with objective processes. We're going to find out how far north we can go in restoring self-determinism in a setting that has to do with help having to do with aid or assistance. So, more to follow. Sometime later, I was at a staff meeting, I should say an auditor's conference that Ron was holding, which he often did every day after there was auditing, and he said, I want to tell you today in this conference what are the 3 things that a being is doing that keeps his case there. the reason he has a case and it doesn't just go, what gives it all that great persistence? Why is it so hard to get rid of? Etc., etc. And there are three things that a being is doing that make sure his case is there. And here they are. The first is, there is an automatic, unconscious urge to keep things from going away. Keeping things from going away is something that is on unconscious, automatic for a being, human being. The next thing that is unconscious and automatic is holding still. All kinds of things being held still. And the final thing, which really gives us that sense of solidity that human beings are so aware of, is making things a little more solid. Those three things are the things that beings are obsessively, compulsively, continuously, automatically, and unconsciously doing all the time, every minute of every day. And that's why you also see what you see all around you. It's an automaticity of taking creation and keeping it from going away, holding it still, and making it a little more solid. And he said, I've been experimenting with these things, and when you get a person to stop doing those things obsessively, compulsively, and unconsciously, there's nothing there. That which he once called his case, his mind, his reactive mind, just about anything that's attached to him ceases to exist. It just goes whoop, because he isn't keeping it there anymore, holding it still, and making it a little more solid. It's just, now, you don't have to believe me because you're going to be running a whole procedure on your PCs henceforth. You'll be learning the procedure. It's going to be called the Clearing Procedure 1958. And just briefly, it has to do with getting the person back to where they feel they're pretty good at controlling their body, using some of the objective processes and moving on to start, change, stop. You get a person where they can start the body, change it, stop it, hold it still. So we want to get those abilities going again for the guy. And then we're going to introduce him to the subject of help. An area where you will find more hang-ups per square inch per human being than you ever imagined is possible. It'd be very hard to find a human being that isn't screwy on some flow of help, that doesn't have help ridged up. I wouldn't help that in a million years. I hate that. I detest that. I would never help that. I won't help this. I will help that. This can help me, but that mustn't. You'll see the person is surrounded by help hang-ups. And by using simple help processes in different flows or directions, you're going to loosen this guy's case up like you never believed possible. Okay so far? But a person, like, you can take them, the thing they hate most in life, and using help, you can get them to where they feel so good about that, they would allow it to do anything for them, they would do anything to help it. All of that stuff that exists in the person's mind and body on the subject of aid and assistance can be handled. The worst conditions, like, would you be willing to help Adolf Hitler? Are you kidding? All I'd ever... Using help, you would have completely different feelings about Adolf Hitler, even though he's considered one of the world's worst monsters. Or just take someone you've been married to, or whatever. He had us in hysterics, giving examples of what you could do with help. And you know, the flows of help would go something like this. Basically, you'd say to the person, how could you help blank? How could blank help you? Okay? How could you help yourself? How could blank help blank's self? How could others help others? Those are the first 5 flows of help. but you can take help to 20 or 12, 16, even 20 different directions when you really want to loosen up something that the person has a hang-up on. So that's what we did. We got the person to the point where their lives were filled with help. No enemies, nothing. Just understanding and aid and assistance, and a view of life that was so different than the view through all those help hang-ups. Now we go to the thing that produces our clear. We may have already made a help clear just using the help processes, but just to put the icing on the cake, so to speak, we're now going to have the person do something called Step 6. Step 6 was a creative process in which you had the person select a simple solid, like a sphere or a cube or something. And then in 6 positions around the body, first you'd have them mock it up. Like, above your body, mark up a sphere. Don't do that, please. Don't think of an elephant either. No, I'm just kidding. So you have them mark up a blank above their body, and then you're looking at your email, and you say, keep it from going away. Now you're having the person do what they do automatically. You're having them keep a creation from going away. And on your meter, you'll see a read when they do it, a particular read. And all around their body, in all these different positions, at distances from the body, you're having them create something, knowingly, and then keep it from going away, consciously, not unconsciously. You're having them take over an automaticity, and when you do that, of course, eventually, what's on automatic will blow. Okay? So, you're just going to take these steps until you are looking at a clear. And you know you're looking at a clear because there'll be, among other things, a free needle at the lowest sensitivity that you couldn't jar with a sledgehammer. No kidding. So, then the next step is you're having them create things around their body and hold them still. And when you hold them still, the needle will go stop dead. And you'll occasionally have them tell you about it, and maybe you get as far as making it a little more solid, but usually the person will look at you and you're looking at a clear. There's no case, no mental energy, no automaticities, nothing. And if you yourself are not clear, you've got to keep your confronting as an auditor, because you're now looking at something that you aren't. The next step is to take your clear to L. Ron Hubbard's office, and he will spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes trying to get the clear to have a manifestation of not being clear. He will threaten them, scream at them, shout, try to key them into some incident or something, and they must sit there and remain clear. Nothing must change the needle on the e-meter, and the person must not react to anything that Mr. Hubbard, who can really throw the shit at you. And if they got through that, they were allowed to attest to being clear. And they were.